Hello everyone, I'm Josh, and I have a ton of Vampire the Masquerade stories from my home game of Chicago by Night that I would love to tell you. Today is the story of a fine young fellow called Dante Morningstar. Not his real name. This is a coterie that's lived in Chicago for a little while now, and if you're unaware of the setting there, I will fill you in on the general things that are going on so that in the future when I come back to this campaign, you will know exactly how much trouble they are in. They are called the Regency of Manele. They have been tasked with taking care of just a very old vampire's stuff, including a homeless charity and a very fancy mansion that they live in. There are several problems with this, such as the mansion is a little bit haunted, and the charity needs money, and also people are going missing. But none of this will come up today, that's for sure. The Chicago Chronicle began with them going through the Sacrifice. So if you've taken a look at the Sacrifice little story module in the back of the Vampire 5th edition Chicago by Night book, that is what they went through. Unfortunately, it ended with the La Sombra attempting to join the Camarilla by sacrificing one of their elders to kind of seal the deal and allow one for one, an elder sacrifice for a La Sombra to join the Chicago Camarilla. However, Malenkov, this kind of grumpy Sabbat evil vampire who went on a rampage, was after a little bit of blood splattering everywhere and several frenzies by the party, taken into custody by them and then given to the Anarchs, who have just kind of disappeared this very powerful old vampire. No one knows where Malenkov went, and they haven't asked yet. As long as they get their info and their rewards, they're happy. That is the world that they set up for themselves. Dante was in fact one of the people who beat up Malenkov when he was trying to feed from people, ended up drinking from a puddle of blood on the floor, but quickly snapped out of that and decided that it was better to punch and, I think, stab a vampire into submission who was going to go on a rampage. Anyway, this Dante Morningstar was I keep on wanting to call him a BMX bandit because of that one Mitchell and Webb look sketch, but he was a BMXer. He was a professional BMX performer, had part of his own rink. Is it a BMX rink? I don't know, but he had it. He has fans, he has fame, he has sponsorship deals, and is currently competing to make sure that the Toreador in Chicago understand his pain, his passion, which is for all of them to recognize that BMX is art. Now, you might go, this Dante seems like a simple fellow, and you would be correct. Dante goes around asking people questions and then taking their answers at face value in a world of vampires where half-truths and lies are about as straight an answer as you can get from anyone. It has been hilarious, combined with various other members of the coterie in little missions that they go on. They have done things such as convince a Nosferatu to exchange a bat for a flamethrower, or accept the task of turning people into vampires to feed an elder vampire. That will come up much later. But Dante is a beautifully stupid character who says yes to all sorts of things. But in this one occasion, really early on in the campaign, Dante has a rival called Francois Mamuel, who is part of a coterie called the Blood Disco. They know very little about the Blood Disco, aside from the fact that they live and work at a bar called Red 5, and Francois Mamuel does not take BMX seriously. She is a drag queen and has all sorts of flamboyances going on. She is big and loud and proud and really gets on Dante's nerves, mostly because Dante has some sort of weird hate fixation on hipsters, which is a little fuzzy. It's not exactly clear-cut exactly who is and isn't hipster from one moment to the next. And it's one of those where the person that's annoying them right now, Dante's like, stupid hipsters. They're that group over there. They don't know what's going on. They must be hipsters. I don't think you truly grasp how stupid this character is. A beauty, but nothing else. Oh, very, very pretty man. Very, very toreador. But it's all in the face. It's external. There's very little going on internally, except for this desire to squash this rival, Francois Mamuald. And I honestly can't fault Dante's thinking, because he was like, I want to crush my rival. I want to show her up. I want to make her and everyone realize in front of a crowd that she's stupid and bad at performing. I am the best. BMX is the best, obviously. But also, I just want to get straight to it. I want to go direct. So he goes to his manager. He goes, can you get me a big old half pipe outside of Red 5? Can we like hire out some stuff? Can we put on a show? Get a crowd in, and I'll challenge her to a BMX off. And the manager goes, okay, Dante. Comes back later and is like, right, I can organize this thing for you. It's not exactly out of your ballpark. You can get the audience. You have some fame. That won't be hard. You can get the BMX. You have some money. You can pay for these things. There is, in fact, a Francois Mamuald at the Red 5 bar just next week. We can organize this. All you need is to give me money. And I went to Francois to see if she would join you. And she said yes. She says she wants an appearance fee of a lot of money. And this a lot of money just so happened to coincide with the amount of resource dots that Dante had. And so Dante was like, I'm not paying my rival. And I was like, okay, I mean, I'm DMing this so you can do the thing. So if you want to set up a half pipe outside of someone's show and just shout to them, you can do that. So Dante was like, yes, I will do that. Meanwhile, the rest of the coterie, every now and then, is just like, he's just going to do it. What's he going to do this time? Who's he going to listen to? What morsel of information is he going to pick up on this time? Because at the moment, they're bouncing around from investigation to investigation, trying to see what the seedy underbelly of Chicago is up to. Meanwhile, Dante's like, I am a hero and I'm going to crush my rival. So he invites all of them. He invites as many toreador as he can find to this event. He invites the entire coterie and they're like, yes, we're going to watch you and this is going to be amazing. Whether we succeed or fail, you do you. This is definitely something I want to turn up for. And one of them, who is a Republican political aide called Vincent, a Ventrue, obviously, was like, yeah, it seems like the perfect opportunity to show off my candidate to a large crowd, as Vincent was backing a mayoral candidate and trying to help them get elected. Like, this is an entire other subplot that they're just hijacking this crowd for. And I'm like, yeah, you do you. Sounds great. They're all going to be kind of young sports fans, but that's fine. It doesn't mean they don't vote. Oh, I need a break from trying to figure out what stupid thing Dante's going to do next. I can't even remember Dante's real name, but it's something really, really boring, like Eric or something. So it comes to the night, the event. Francois Mamuald can be heard inside of this really fancy, nice bar. The music's going, she appears to be singing along, doing a drag routine, and outside, lights, big flashlights beaming into the air, swaying around, and a huge well-lit half-pipe with Dante Morningstar with his little helmet on. And I just imagine these beautiful shoulder pads and knee pads on top of a BMX bike in racing red, just standing on top of the half pipe with the bike between his legs, and he gets out a megaphone and he's like, "Hey, Mumwald, come out here and fight me." The crowd goes silent. People start to look between the bar and the half pipe. Half an hour goes by as the speakers are playing like a kind of sporty do just while nothing, like he's doing little up and down spinny. I'm not a BMXer, I don't know. He's doing spins and flips and stuff on this half pipe to kind of warm up and keep the crowd entertained, while Mumwald stays inside and does her drag routine. But at some point I realize that this entire area is owned by the Blood Disco, Mumwald's coterie. They have this entire place. In fact, they would probably own the car park where this half-pipe is. In fact, Dante probably paid for the rent to take over that car park to them. So they knew this was happening. So they knew that he would be coming. They would have something prepared, because Francois Mumwald is not someone who does things by halves. So what I decide happens is that a beautiful woman steps out of the front doors of the bar with a big red cloth, bodyguards flanking her. She then just kind of throws and rolls this red cloth, this carpet, across the road, through the crowd, straight to the middle of the half pipe. Everyone goes, ooh, silence. Sparklers and fireworks burst out of the side of the bar. Lights turn on with a clunk, 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 clunk. And on a BMX bike, doing a wheelie with gay pride flags coming out the back, fluttering in the breeze dramatically, with a big drag wig and all this beautifully huge makeup, Francois Mumwald like wheelies her way across the road to the half pipe, where Dante is waiting, just kind of wide-eyed, going, oh, well, at least she came. And then she grabs a mic from this beautiful woman and says, "Sup, bitches? I'm here to win." And then the crowd goes wild. Whoa, yeah. And so, while all of this is happening, the entire rest of the coterie is just sat there. Like, no one has said a thing, as they're just like, popcorn. I didn't expect any of this, but I knew something stupid was going to happen. And so, Dante, Francois, get up there. Francois's like, your tiny BMX bike is pathetic. And Dante's like, I might fury frenzy. So, fortunately, he staves that off. But I think at this moment, how am I actually going to mediate this battle? I have no idea. So, I remember the rule that is like, you can have a battle. You can decide who wins that battle, whether one person runs out of health, or willpower. If it's a social battle, I can make them both perform, and the one who gets the most margins by doing the biggest, trick. It's like some sort of ridiculous game of horse, right? Where one person has to do a trick, and then the next person has to either one-up them or perform the same thing. So if they win, the other person loses a point of willpower, which I've never done social combat in this game before. I'm like, whatever, seems perfect. There's no better way to decide who wins. At this point, Mumwald leans in to Dante and says, do you want to make this a little more interesting? Do you want to wager? And then he's like, yes, of course I do. And Mumwald says, we're trying to win over the crowd, yeah? So how about whoever wins gets to take this crowd for themselves? They look out. There's the rest of the coterie spotted around the crowd, the Nosferatu lurking in the shadows, and all the players just go, So what now? And Dante just goes, yes, sounds good to me. And Mumwald's like, perfect. When I win, they're all coming to my bar. And so they begin doing tricks. Francois does not take this seriously. Francois is being as sassy as one can be without saying words, biking on a BMX. I don't fully know how to put this into images via words. There is sass happening through a bike, whereas Dante immediately turns on his celerity. His super speed and grace of movement enhances his abilities. And yet, the rest of the coterie notices that there is the beautiful woman swanning her way through the crowd, whispering into ears, having conversations, and seemingly influencing people that are just standing there watching and enjoying. Meanwhile, Dante does sick flips and jumps around. The crowd cheers for him. Francois does some ridiculous moves and she wins a few rounds. They're getting pretty even. They're getting up to approximately half of their willpower health left. And at this point, Mumwald's getting a little tired, a little shaken, but nowhere near as shaken as Dante, who is one or two hitboxes away from being completely out of the game. It's come round back into aggravated. So it goes no damage, then you get superficial damage, and then when that's full up, it goes into aggravated damage. It kind of loops around. So he's in half aggravated damage with the rest on superficial, where he gets negatives just for being out there trying to do something social, not for trying to do something mental, because he's already doing that and he's not particularly smart in the first place, so it didn't really matter. Anyway, Mumwald proposes a break and Dante's like, yes please, I will just take a little bit of time. And so goes back to a trailer that the manager has hired for him in the back, and the manager's just massaging his shoulders and going, okay, you just take some time to rest, you're doing great out there, boss. Like some sort of boxer manager in the corner of the ring, just doing the weird yeah, you got this, champ. And he's like, we go back to the crowd where this beautiful woman's swanning around trying to whisper in people's ears. So the Nosferatu's like, this is ridiculous. I don't want my entire group to be embarrassed. Dante is an idiot, yes, but I mean, I should probably help, right? So goes up and listens and hears that this woman's like, that guy's really fast. Have you ever noticed that? Inhumanly fast. And these people going, yeah, there's something weird about that. And then she's like, doesn't actually know what he's doing though, does he? He's just out here in the middle of the street, doing tricks. It's not particularly showy, is it? It's not impressive after the 10th time. So, Donato, not to be mistaken for Dante, I don't know why they chose names that are so incredibly similar, but Donato the Nosferatu, which is, I've just realised, quite difficult to say, goes up to this woman, grabs her with his strength, and is like, you leave my friend alone. You leave these people alone, and we won't have trouble. Manages to drag her away, so the crowd is now less influenced and less inclined towards Francois Mamelwold as they feel this supernatural power fade from them. They're like a little bit confused, but they're waiting for the restart of this match. While Dante is in his trailer trying to psych himself up for this final part of the battle, he gets a little knock on the door, and he's like, hello, who's that? He opens the door, and it appears to be a Toreador that he invited, a Toreador neonate, a really young vampire that he's not really spoken to a lot, but has encountered the party before when they were at Elysium. And he's like, I remember you. And she's like, hi, I think you might need some help. My name is Portia, and if you need a little boost, I could give that to you. I mean, it's for the clan, right? We've got to look after our own. And you seem like a nice enough fellow. I can give you that. You just, you don't even owe me anything. And he's like, what can you do? And she's like, I have a power that if I just feed from you a little bit, it will make you feel stronger. It will make you faster. It will make you better at performing, and you'll be able to outperform Francois. She's done for anyway. And he's like, yes please. Feed on down. Do the do. Let's get those extra dice for me. And he gets a stain because I believe one of his Chronicle tenants, no, not a Chronicle tenant, the other one, the Touchstone one, Conviction, that's it. One of his convictions is just straight up, don't do drugs. Anyway, so she's like, you won't regret this. She feeds on him using her power of presence, using something called Lingering Kiss, which gives you a buff. Now, unbeknownst to him, and he doesn't really understand this, he feels much stronger. He feels +3 dice stronger to each physical roll that he makes. And he's like, oh, I do feel good. This is amazing. Oh my god, I have never felt so good. Yes, let's do this. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to beat that drag queen, and I'm going to show her up and tell everyone that BMX is art. Anyway, the battle restarts. He's super quick. He is super flashy. He is perfect. He's doing flips. He is doing stands. He is doing all of the most impressive tricks. He's getting incredible air. And Francois is not a BMXer to start off with, but also relying on the kind of sarcasm, the show to kind of entertain people and win over the crowd more than anything else, and make Dante feel awful. With the crowd not swayed towards her by her friend, they aren't as interested in this anymore. They're not concentrating on Dante's flaws. They're concentrating on his epic level of BMX skill. And he crushes her. She loses all of her wits. She loses all of her willpower, more importantly. And so she's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Picks up her BMX, hucks it straight over the heads of the crowd. It like smashes through a window. There is cheers. There's a little bit of concern. There's like a ton of like worried fans of Francois Mamelwold who came to see this drag show and were told that she would be putting down some upstart weirdo, and she's lost it. She loses her temper and storms back into the bar. At that point, Dante just puts the cherry on top and says, it's not very ladylike. Meanwhile, this beautiful woman returns and is like, it's time to go. Make sure this crowd disperses and we we'll be done here, we're finished, and begins to influence her aura. No one really pays attention to her. No one notices that she is slowly drawing this crowd into the bar. Everyone starts to either leave the street or go into the bar, and among them include Dante's girlfriend, a couple of other family members of other coterie members, a friend, a ghoul, a mysterious muse of a Malkavian, which is a whole other thing that I can't get into right now. I don't have time for all of these characters' nonsense. But they don't notice that the crowd is moving into the bar. So when they were all congratulating Dante and his epic level BMX skills, not actually mentioning that it's art, but Dante's okay with that, filled with pride and relief. He's like, my work is done here. Then they notice that the crowd is gone, and there is a very loud dance party happening in the bar. They see a few familiar faces in there, and they're like, what is going on? I don't know. So they decide to try and get in. The bouncers do not let that happen. They try and force their way through, and they realize that it's getting really close to midnight, and the music is coming to a fever pitch. People are losing their minds. They're dancing. They're not opening their eyes. They're in trance, and they all manage to pile in there. One breaks in the back door with a massive shotgun. One bursts in the front door, and they realize that slowly, as it trickles down the seconds to midnight, vampires, fangs extended, are beginning to pick targets in the crowd, including their family members, including Dante's girlfriend. He grabs her and leaves and runs out. They each try and find their respective touchstones and their friends who are about to be fed on. Unfortunately, the only one who couldn't convince their touchstone, the Malkavian called Matthew, who we will definitely talk about another time, was unable to convince his touchstone, Victoria, to leave the party. She seems way too into this, and as the beautiful woman reappears and stands on a balcony next to a man, she proclaims that we dance tonight to honor the Dark Mother. The bell tolls midnight. A huge gong is struck, and she just says, feed at the blood disco. These vampires, fangs out, chow down, and to blend in to stop anyone else from trying to attack his touchstone, Matthew the Malkavian feeds on her, saving her life, maybe, but also partaking in this ritual, which we will get onto perhaps another time, as there are so many stories that this group have gone through, most of them ridiculous. So subscribe if you want to see that. Or if you want to get cool stuff for supporting me, then there is a Patreon where one of the goals that I'm working towards is a Vampire the Masquerade campaign, 5th edition on this very channel, that you will be able to watch and enjoy, where I stream with my friends and make up an amazing story. If you've not seen Bloodlust, then here's the link. It will most likely be a follow-on story to these 2 seasons. So do that, follow, like, subscribe. Let me know what ridiculous Chicago by Night stories you've had in the comments. But until next time, goodbye.